The hospital was quiet except for the occasional beep of monitors and the soft shuffle of nurses' shoes on the polished floor. The millionaire lay in his hospital bed, surrounded by doctors and nurses who all seemed competent on paper but failed to connect with him on a human level. Dozens had tried, but none could reach him emotionally or calm the storm of fear and pain that raged inside him. He was a man who had everything in the world: wealth, power, influence, but at this moment, lying vulnerable in a stark white room, none of it mattered. The life he had built felt fragile, and the one thing that wealth couldn't buy, trust, was eluding him completely. Nurses came and went, checking vitals, adjusting blankets, and giving injections. All had the professionalism and skill that should have mattered, but the millionaire turned his head from each one with a subtle grimace. He needed more than medicine. He needed someone who could see him as a person, not just a patient or a number. The door opened quietly one afternoon, and in walked a woman with an air of calm confidence. She wasn't the youngest nurse on staff, nor the most polished. Her uniform was crisp but not overly perfect, her hair pulled back simply, and her smile was gentle without being forced. Unlike the others, she didn't rush in with a checklist or a clipboard. She simply stood at the foot of his bed and waited. The millionaire raised a skeptical eyebrow. "You're different," he said, his voice hoarse. "You don't look like the others." She smiled. "I'm here to help, not to impress you or scare you with my knowledge. I'm here to make things easier for you." There was something in her voice, a steady, unwavering sincerity, that caught him off guard. Most people who approached him in hospitals seemed afraid, resentful, or secretly calculating what they could gain from his wealth. She had none of that. Over the next few days, she observed him closely. She noticed the slight tremor in his hands when he was anxious, the way he flinched at sudden movements, the subtle signs of loneliness hidden behind a wall of arrogance. She didn't speak much, but when she did, her words were carefully measured, comforting, and unexpectedly human. One evening, after a particularly difficult procedure, the millionaire snapped at a nurse for a minor mistake. The nurse retreated quickly, hurt and embarrassed, leaving the room tense. He felt the familiar surge of frustration and shame, but she stayed. "I know it's hard," she said softly, placing a hand gently on his arm. "You've been through a lot, and it's okay to feel scared. You don't have to act tough all the time." Her words were disarming. He looked at her, trying to understand why she didn't recoil or cower like the others. There was no judgment in her eyes, only patience and a quiet strength. In the following weeks, her approach changed everything. She didn't just tend to his medical needs, she listened to him. She remembered small details he mentioned in passing, made him laugh when he least expected it, and encouraged him to participate in his own recovery. Where others had failed because they focused solely on procedure, she succeeded because she focused on him. He started opening up in ways he hadn't with anyone in years. He spoke about his fears, his regrets, and the loneliness that wealth had brought him. He shared stories from his childhood, moments of vulnerability he had long hidden behind a mask of success. She listened without interruption, without offering empty reassurances, simply acknowledging his feelings and validating his humanity. There was one particular night when everything came to a head. He had been restless, unable to sleep, haunted by a sense of impending loss. He muttered to himself about all the people who had disappointed him, all the times he had felt abandoned. She sat beside him quietly, letting him speak, letting him release his pent-up emotions. "You don't have to fight alone," she whispered finally. "It's okay to accept help. It doesn't make you weak. It makes you human." He stared at her, the walls he had built around himself beginning to crumble. For the first time in years, he felt seen, truly seen. He realized that no amount of money could buy this connection, this understanding, this sense of being understood without judgment. Slowly, he began to trust her. He let her assist him in ways he never allowed others, allowing her to manage small tasks, guiding his own care in partnership with her, relying on her insight rather than his own ego. He found comfort not in her skill alone but in the warmth and consistency she brought to each interaction. It wasn't just about recovery anymore. It was about transformation. The millionaire, who had once believed that wealth and power could solve every problem, began to understand that human connection was far more valuable. He learned to listen, to appreciate others' efforts, and to express gratitude in ways he hadn't known were possible. In the end, It wasn't a groundbreaking medical procedure that saved him. It wasn't an experimental drug or a miraculous treatment. It was one woman who saw him not as a project or a patient, but as a person. She gave him patience when he had none, understanding when he felt misunderstood, and unwavering support when he felt isolated. When he finally left the hospital, he did so changed. Not just physically healed, but emotionally awakened. He carried with him a new respect for the power of empathy, for the subtle ways in which one person's kindness can alter the course of a life. He kept in touch with her, of course, but more importantly, he carried her lessons forward. He treated people differently, invested time in relationships, and valued human connection above all else. The millionaire, once consumed by the pursuit of wealth and status, now understood that the most precious things in life are intangible: trust, compassion, and the rare moments when someone reaches you in ways nobody else can. And though dozens had failed before her, it was she who saved him, not with grand gestures, but with simple, unwavering humanity.